Hello, welcome back to 1874. You can get a huge discount and 4 months free with NordVPN by heading to nordvpn.com/1874. It's completely risk-free because Nord offer a 30-day money-back guarantee. So help yourself get some extra football in your life by checking out NordVPN and using our link. It's a match preview time as Villa head to the Amex to play Brighton on Wednesday night, 7:30 kickoff, I want to say. I'm not sure if that is correct, but it's definitely on a Wednesday night. Anyway, I probably should have checked the kickoff time before I started. I'm your host, Dan Bardell, joined today as a special treat by the Athletic Aston correspondent, Jacob Tanswell, twice in a week on the podcast. Dave Reid was not available. Jacob has been to Bodymore Heath, and Jacob, you've got a little bit of a scoop for us from Bodymore.
Yeah, obviously we see Unai quite a lot nowadays, especially with games in midweek. This time it's the Premier League. So we're a bit out at kilter, if I'm honest. I didn't particularly expect much. I thought maybe we'd have some news on Ross Barkley. But yeah, I've asked about Ollie Watkins in the embargo section, hence why it's out at 10:30 tonight. And this was annoyingly for me, this is going to be my piece for later this week or early next week on Watkins. But Emery's revealed publicly that Ollie Watkins has been managing a ongoing knee issue since last August, and he's been missing training sessions to manage the workload. And it's an injury that doesn't require surgery as such, but it does require a lot of rest. So this is along the lines of what Thomas Tuchel was saying in terms of Ollie playing with discomfort. And also, it may go some way in mitigating the struggles he's had this season too.
You say that, but that's like 16 months then he's been managing this. I'm assuming it's got worse. I'm just guessing that because he's I don't pick on him as you will all know, but yeah, his performances are worse right now than they were 12 months ago, for example. So is this an issue that's getting worse?
I think it comes and goes. There's times where he can play without the pain, and sometimes where it swells as well, without wanting to go into too much detail on it. But with Watkins as well, I think even last year, right, he scored 14, 15 league goals. I don't think he was physically at his peak, and I referenced this a couple of podcasts ago. I
Yeah.
think he's probably better physically 2 years ago. Last year, there's times when he looked like he was running in treacle. You saw at the start of the season, John Duran was outperforming him. Ollie Watkinson had good periods, of course, in that season, but then in the crunch fixtures, Marcus Rashford started the PSG game, so I don't think he was at his best then, and I do think there was something missing. And we all put it down to the fact that he had a week's pre-season. He came into the season injured, which obviously was the knee issue, and he couldn't really quite get going. He's had times, and I think this summer they felt that it was a good time for him to reset, have a proper pre-season, his first in 3 or 4 years. Scored 5 times in pre-season.
Looked sharp in
Looked
pre-season.
really sharp. And it's just turning to league action, the intensity of regular games and hard training has made the issue flare up again.
So what are we going to do here? Because what's happening at the moment, you're saying there's nothing that really can be done other than rest, but there's no doubt if you look at his goal record and assist record as well, it's definitely affecting him. And in the eye test, when you watch him, it's definitely affecting him. When he had barren runs previously, I always felt he was still contributing. He'd still rack up the assists. He'd still be getting the goal contributions. But at the moment this season, you've still just got that one goal against Fulham. When I watch him, he looks like he's struggling. He looks like he runs out of steam way more easier than he would have done a couple of years ago. So when he's the only genuine centre forward in the building, that's a problem that they're going to have to do something about, because that he can't continue in that manner, and he can't continue in that manner.
No, and we put in the deal sheet on Tuesday morning this morning that they will try and sign a striker in January. Ideally, I think for longer term purposes and longer term future proofing, I guess they would rather have a younger striker to develop and eventually supplant Ollie Watkins. Emery obviously may see things differently. We don't know yet, the discussions yet. But if this goes on and obviously Ollie Watkins is not quite at the races, then Emery, which is well within his rights, might say we need a short-term hit and we need a more experienced striker. Then it's the question of money, scope for new signings, and that is pretty tight in January. So there's a lot to weigh up. But for Watkins, yeah, it's interesting that Villa have gone public with it, because I've had reservations in recent weeks in terms of saying anything, because obviously it's a medical issue, but don't really, and it's something that could be quite private. But also for Watkins as well, in terms of other clubs might still want him. They certainly wanted him in the summer with Man United and in January with Arsenal. Villa by Emery saying this, really, his diminishing stock in terms of the fee they could get for him later down the line's kind of gone down even further by the fact that he's 29, turning 30 soon, and he's now got this knee issue that he's been having for over a year. So it doesn't exactly make him attractive to other teams.
Why do you think it has come out now? Like you've said, you were going to reveal it kind of next week, and you said you've been reticent to do that. But why do you think he suddenly chose the press conference on
Yeah.
Tuesday to get that news out there?
I would have spoken about. I don't think I would have revealed it in clear cut terms unless Emery spoke about it. So I would have just said there was an issue with his knee. I wouldn't have gone into any more detail on that. With Emery, I'm not quite sure. I think he's been asked about Watkins a lot this season, and the time he gave the answer to this is probably the third or fourth question he faced in that press conference. So I do wonder if it was just a case of, right, listen, this is the issue with him. This is why, of course, we can talk about his form and his confidence. And yeah, these are things that he certainly needs to get back to, and there's no reason why he can't get back to them. But ultimately, you've got to give him some mitigation because this is what has been going on behind the scenes. This is the knee issue he's had. And of course, that's going to impact any player. But as we know as well, Yuri Tillemans has, especially last season, I'm not sure what the case is this season, he had a long-standing and ongoing knee issue throughout the whole of last season. And that's why Villa's frustration with Belgium grew last season because they wanted him to rest. So it shows that players can do it and they still can play at a very high level. So that the hope is that Watkins can get back to that way as well.
Yeah, I guess with Tillemans, he had an issue, but it wasn't impacting performances. Obviously, he got Player of the Year. He was absolutely outstanding last season. Whilst this may give Watkins some leeway with certain quarters of the fan base, perhaps it feels to me like he's putting his body on the line and playing through the pain because we're not equipped, essentially, because he's the only striker in the building. Is that the case? You think if Villa had another striker right now, he'd be playing as many minutes as he is?
Yeah, we saw that. The answer was last season, right? When Emery had a number 9 that he trusted, they played quite a lot of games. John Duran did at the start of the season. Or Marcus Rashford did as well in the second half of the season. So, and at that point, Watkins wasn't first choice, and even against Wolves, him being dropped for the first time in the league this season suggests that there are other options. But the fact is, no one can do what Watkins can do. And actually, when he came on against Wolves, right, I thought Villa looked a little bit more comfortable in terms of having that focal point up top. So again, it comes down to the question of squad planning, really. I know money was tight and it was a bit of a nightmare scenario, but in the players they wanted, or the players they had, or the position they had to target in those final days of the window, maybe I don't know, they might have already considered this, but it might have been better in hindsight to try and go for a number 9 as opposed to another 10 in Harvey Elliott.
Yeah, and of course there was other injury news coming out today as well. Been a busy day for sneaky injury boy Jacob Tanswell. Ross Barkley also going to be out for potentially up to 12 weeks. I think it was reported. A blow because me and you've waxed lyrical about him. That great player to have in the squad, comes on, gets straight into the game, never needs time to warm up, just comes straight into the thick of it and performs. Again, I keep alluding to this busy Christmas period, and we're in that now. That's another body down of someone who was going to be useful, and Emery referenced that he was getting close to being in the starting 11 as well. So that's another huge blow today. Not been a great day.
It's huge blow for the squad depth, but also Barkley as well, right? He spoke to me about wanting to get back and the frustration he has when he isn't playing. He referenced the fact that when he got injured against West Ham in the FA Cup, what was it, late this time last year, January time?
Yeah, it was January.
He was very frustrated. Sorry, I need to turn that off.
It's okay. Ollie Watkins is telling you about his injury, I suspect.
He was very frustrated because he would read a lot of stuff and they would call him a sick note online, and he was a guy that would go online and look at a lot of stuff, and he's not trying to get injured, but it's disappointing for him, for a guy that's hopefully trying to move on and really finish his career. I'm not saying it's towards the end, but the last 3, 4, 5 years of his career in a really good way. So he keeps getting set back, especially at a time when he really wants to be part of it, and he's been working, and the staff have been very impressed with him in training and how he's come on and adapted to the game intensity. It's 8 to 12 weeks is what Emery said. I think the hope is that he would be the shorter end of the time scale, so around 8 weeks, and Barkley can be back for then. But it's up to him now to get back and go through this slow, boring rehab again.
Yeah, feel for him. He's obviously had his problems, as we know from your piece with him a few weeks ago, and he just got back in the lineup and was pushing. It's a real shame. I'm a massive fan of Ross Barkley, so that's pretty disappointing news. It does open up a space in the match day squad, so the inevitable questions will be: does that mean that Harvey Elliott's going to get back on the bench? I don't want to dwell too long on it, but was he asked about that in the presser today?
If
Or was
I'd have
everyone just
come
sick of
every
asking him?
time, I think everyone's sick. We've all tried in different ways to face it. I think I was the first one to go with the Harvey Elliott questions.
Yeah, you
Um,
brave boy, you are always been a brave boy.
he kind of just pushed it back as typical Unai Emery. Then there was a few others that I've tried to phrase differently, and then, but it's, a lot of the time when you ask Emery questions, I kind of asked the question to other people because you probably get a better response privately than publicly, and the answer from Villa has always been the same. Whether it's the complete truth, I don't know, but they always say it's because there's so many number 10, so many options. So in theory, with Barkley not there, who has been coming on as a number 10 in recent times, Javier could be the next guy coming in off the bench. As we saw against Leeds, when there was a space on the bench, George Hemmings took that spot. So what's going to be interesting, and I'm sure I'll do it when the coach pulls into the Amex tomorrow evening. I'll be out there straight away to see if I can spot Harvey Elliott. I'll try and see, I'll find out in the morning of the game. Of course, I'll get a slap on the wrist if I tweet it out or post it before the team sheets. But if I can find a way of finding out, I will. But it's going to be disappointing if he's not, because yeah, of all the things we've referenced, really, in terms of how big a signing it was and what a coup I thought it was at the time and how it's gone since.
Yeah, I mean, he can't. He can go back to Liverpool potentially. He can't play for anyone else though. So it's Liverpool or Villa for Harvey Elliott for the rest of the season, because the rules have only been able to play for two clubs in one season. So something kind of has to give in a way. My gut is that when Hemmings came in on the bench, it was to replace central midfielder in Onana. I'm presuming Onana potentially and Bogard will be on the bench covering the central midfield area, which makes me think Barkley is seen as a 10 on the bench potentially, which would mean Elliott would be called up. That's the way I'm choosing to look at it.
Yeah, good thinking. But equally at the same time against Leeds, you had Bogard and you had Barkley, who their first choice positions, which Emery's told them in the summer, is the holding midfield position. So surely in that game you would have had space for a 10 instead of another centre midfielder. And also Harvey Elliott's, no offence to George Hemmings, who I think is going to be an unbelievable player. Harvey Elliott's a European under 21 winner, has played in big games. Really, it doesn't matter if he's a centre number 6 or number 6, number 8, number 10. He should be getting on the bench at that point.
I think if he's not on the bench, it starts to feel a little bit personal. I don't want to get into it massively, but even though we already have, it does start to feel a little bit personal at that point.
Yeah, there's like I say, Villa have got their side of the story, other parties have got their sides of the story, and I think the likelihood is that if Villa are going to rely on Liverpool, I know there's no clause in that recall, but for Liverpool to maybe be a little bit amenable and say, okay, yeah, we'll take him back.
Interesting. I mean, I'm sure it'll come up again in the next 6 weeks or so, Jacob. So yeah, brace yourself for more Harvey Elliott questions. We've obviously spoken about Watkins and him managing the injury. Do you expect him to start this one? Come back into the
I
fray?
do, I do
Yeah,
expect him to start. Yeah, I think Marlins again. He's not a traditional number 9. And we've always said this, even when he played brilliantly and have scored against young boys. In certain games, like I will use that phrase again, horses for courses. In certain games, I think you can play him as a 9, mainly in Europe. In Premier League games, for to start as a central forward, as
it's
a number
tough,
9 on
isn't
your
it?
own, difficult, isn't it? But he's got good memories of the Amex. He scored a lot, scored there last season, didn't he? So maybe, but I would imagine that Watkins will come back in.
I'd have them both, to be honest.
You
I'd
love
have
that, don't you?
I do like it. I'm a big fan of it. I would
And
have. I imagine it's going to be a transitional game against Brighton because
yeah,
they are a team that likes possession, and I just
yeah,
think it might suit in transition. Would be my thinking around it. This is a tough game. I mean, I wanted to
mm.
keep this short and snappy, but a little word on Brighton. They're unbeaten at home so far this season. They're a place behind Villa in the league. Quietly been going about their business and quietly doing very well.
Yeah, I like Brighton. I've always liked Brighton. They're a team that I feel have got similarities to how they played under De Zerbi. Whenever I go to Aston, whenever I look at Brighton, I always feel that they're really good, clean passes of the ball. Maybe they're a little bit different to a lot of Premier League trends we see now in terms of physicality, direct long throws, etc. They still play a very probably early 2020, 2021 football, and they still try and play through the lines. And whenever they play Villa, because they're clashed, because they're quite similar in terms of how they build up, there's a lot of congestion in midfield. There's a lot of bodies in midfield. They both want to play through central areas, pop it through. Lewis Dunk would do that for Brighton before he got dropped last week. Pau Torres would do it for Villa. But then there's so much space out wide because everyone's kind of gravitated towards midfield. There's so many 1v1 opportunities. You saw it when Villa scored their goals here last year. Going further back, Adingra for the penalty that Brighton won that 1-0 2 seasons ago even. The games tend to be decided out on the wings in those 1v1 battles. So I think it's going to be a really good technical game. I think it's going to be fast paced and it's 4th v 5th, right? And two teams that you probably would expect, they're given the summer and how they've gone on, but I think for Brighton they've quietly gone about their business, and as we know about Villa, they've been rejuvenated in recent months.
Yeah, I've got a sneaky feeling for Maatsen to start as well up against Minter. A bit of added pace. He's on massively good form at the moment. There's going to have to be a bit of rotation over the next few weeks. And obviously, we have a huge game Saturday, early kickoff as well. So
Yeah,
I'm thinking perhaps Maatsen might start this one
well,
a bit pace
stylistically,
up against
yeah,
Minter. It would make more sense, wouldn't it?
yeah, for sure. You'd have Maatsen, and like I say, there's certainly going forward as well. I think Maatsen's burst of pace as well would be able to isolate and to potentially form 2v1s out wide, which I think Villa have done and tried to do against Brighton at other points under Emery. And then against Arsenal, regardless of how well Maatsen plays, you probably want Luca Dean, who's better aerially against a team that's going to be hurling set plays into the box, quite physical. And Luca Dean ultimately is better defensively in terms, not necessarily for pace, but positional awareness, stuff like that. So I think that could be a good way to go.
Okay. Have you got any hot takes ahead of this one, Jacob? Instead of asking you for a hot take, I'll ask you, if you had to put your life on the line, which game do you think Villa have got more? It's a bit harsh. Which game out of the two coming up, Wednesday or Arsenal on Saturday, which one do you feel Villa have more of a chance of winning? Because weirdly, I think Saturday.
I know you'll say Saturday. I think Brighton.
Okay.
I
Good
think
record
Brighton.
there, I guess, by and large.
Second half last season, they were fantastic. That counter attack from Rashford started it all off, and that second half they were very good. So I think Brighton. That would be my hot take. My hot take also is that Villa are going to create a few chances and they're going to score inside the box. That's my hot take.
No. Get out of town. That's not what we do around these parts, Jacob. I've got a feeling December time. I think back to when we beat City 1-0 and Arsenal 1-0 in a row. I think if we do manage to win on Wednesday, and then I think that means we might follow it up on Saturday with another win, and it turns into
that
one of
would be
those
massive.
big weeks.
I think Emery's kind of cotton onto the fact that we all keep asking him about the shots outside the box, and he basically said, "Yeah, okay, we need to score more goals from outside the box." But I think he gave a really good quote. Actually, he said it's better to win 5 matches 1-0 than 1 match 5-0. And
it's very true.
Who would rule out 2 1-0 wins or 2-2-1 wins in the next week or so?
Yeah, and that's why he's king. He comes out with stuff like that, and he's an exceptional manager. Right, Jacob, you are the king as well. Thank you for coming on the channel today. Really, really appreciate it. And thank you for the injury update as well, which was a special little bonus that I didn't know was happening when we arranged for you to do this evening. Thank you again to you, the viewer, as well, for continuing to watch and listen to the channel. It's very much appreciated. If you could subscribe with your post notifications on YouTube, give us a like and a comment as well. That would be absolutely fantastic. Spotify and Apple, 5-star reviews, 5-star comments. All those things really, really help. They're massive. So thank you very much to those that do go on and follow my instruction after a pod. It shows that at least some of you get to the end of the pod and do actually listen to my outro. Thanks again to NordVPN for continuing to sponsor us. There'll, of course, be some post-Brighton content on the channel, so watch out for that. Keep your eye on our socials so you know when that's coming. And as ever, we'll end with an Up the Villa from me and an Up the Villa from Jacob Tanswell.
Up the Villa.